How's it going, y'all? So it is May, new month, and you know what that means. It is new rental teams time. If you did not catch what we talked about that we're going to be doing for May, we are actually bringing back my 5 best rental teams that I've released so far over the last, I guess it's been 3 months, right? For Series 12. So we don't have new rental teams this month, but we're bringing back what I consider to be my best rental team so far. But I also have I'm making team reports for the teams as well. So trying to make it easier for people to understand the way I think about the teams and the way that you can use them, and trying to do things a little more professionally or something. I don't know. I hope you guys appreciate it. Let's put it that way. So I will be releasing team reports and linking them in the description as well, besides just, making this video and, giving you guys the rental codes. So if you do enjoy the content and you find something you like, consider subscribing. If you are not, I do appreciate those of you who have been, supporting me on this journey as we have been, growing the channel and trying to, find all these crazy things to do. I think, sometimes I like to play standard, but I like to try to be unique, and I think that comes through. I'm going to put on some different music. I'm gonna, hopefully this isn't too loud. Okay, so I just need to check, as long as it's not louder than me, we're fine, basically. So we should be good. Okay, I might turn it down just a teeny tiny bit. Moving on. Let's look at these teams. So the first 2 teams that we're going to be looking at are the teams from last month. So these teams, if you saw last month's rental video, will definitely be familiar. This is the weakness policy Yveltal plus Sneasel team, with also having, Groudon, Gastrodon, Regieleki, and Ditto. So I think the one adaptation you could think about making on this team is actually putting Protect on Yveltal instead of having Tailwind. But in general, I think this is a really solid team, and it definitely surprised me. I was upset with how well it did in the April IC because I think maybe I just wasn't playing very well on day 2. But yeah, we didn't do very well on day 2 for sure, and it really affected our results. So the main leads on this team are definitely Sneasel Yveltal is the predominant lead, if we're being honest. Sneasel Yveltal takes care of most things, and the having double dark really makes dealing with things like Grimmsnarl a lot better, and having inner focus on Sneasel, as well as having Fake Out and Ice Shard and Triple Axle and Beat Up, just allows Sneasel to do quite a lot as a lead, because you can Fake Out Max Airstream turn 1 if you need to. You can just Policy Proc right away. You can Fake Out Tailwind turn 1 if you need to. But so you do have quite a lot. I did end up taking Surf off of Sneasel for Beat Up because I don't think we lead Sneasel Gastrodon enough to make Surf worth it, if that makes sense. But other leads that you can do are Regieleki Yveltal, Regieleki Groudon, Ditto Groudon. It's interesting to me how much I just do Sneasel Yveltal with this team, and I'm sitting here trying to think well, in what situation do you not want to do that? I mean, in some situations, versus a Kyogre, maybe you might start Gastrodon Ditto, or Gastrodon Regieleki, or maybe Groudon Regieleki and then switch in Gastrodon. Oftentimes versus a Kyogre team, you want to actually bring Groudon in the back, but because this one has Protect, bringing it in the front can be a viable option. So you know, I think Swords Dance Groudon is a side of this team that I've underutilized a little bit. I think leading like Fake Out plus Swords Dance is a really great option if you do want to go for it. But against really threatening things like, I don't know, Kyogres, like Regieleki really is a great max if you're not going to be Dynamaxing a Yveltal. So I would say the main maxes are definitely a Yveltal and Regieleki, where, you know, Regieleki can just like go for airstreams to get Groudon going fast. You know, you can Electroweb next to a Yveltal to support it, if you're not going to max Regieleki, that is. But having the Assurance, also great for Calyrex Shadow, and things like that. So, I mean, technically in front of Calyrex Shadow, you'd probably want to like Airstream and Dark Pulse instead, but you never know. But that's, you know, I don't know what much more I want to say about this team. I think it's really solid, like, you know, so the great thing about this team is you have 5 Pokemon that can't get hit by Thunder Wave, which is one of the most annoying moves in the game right now. You have 2 Pokemon that can't get hit by lightning moves. And then Ditto really acts like a second legendary a lot of the time, or like a extra legendary, where you really can get away a lot more with not bringing both of your legendaries on this team if you just bring Ditto. And, you know, you have switch-ins for ground moves, you know, like you can switch Yveltal in for Regieleki, you can switch Yveltal in for grass moves. So you do have, you know, I guess what I would consider to be the appropriate switch-ins as well, which is, you know, nice. Sneasel can take out a Rillaboom with Triple Axle if it gets all 3. It can take out a Moongus, but it doesn't always, so you do need to be careful about things like that. Let me move on though. I don't know. Somehow I find myself, like, when I'm making these videos, I end up forgetting what to say. I'm like, I don't know, did I explain it well enough? We looked at the picture for like 4 minutes. Oh god. Okay. So the next team that we are keeping from last month is actually the Giratina team. I saw great success with this team. I thought it was really fun. A lot of the time you are going to lead Grimmsnarl Giratina and just try to Sucker Punch Weakness Policy proc, unless they lead like Calyrex Shadow or something where you light screen, they probably set your policy off for you, and then you just KO something back. You could try to bring them down to Sash, or, you know, use your Sucker Punch the next turn, right? But, so, yeah, I mean, so Giratina can KO a non-Dynamax Kyogre with Max Overgrowth. That also means it can KO a non-Max Groudon. And so, you know, it performs well enough as with the weakness policy, whereas without it, Giratina is a pretty underwhelming Pokemon. But it has ridiculous bulk, and so that's really what you have going for you. I actually think adaptation that I was thinking about doing on this team is taking Wild Charge off Zacian for Imprison. I think that's actually kind of crazy. So it is something to think about. But moving on, you do have, you know, the max Phantasms from Giratina to play into all the other physical attackers on the team. Entei, Urshifu, Zacian. Entei doesn't care about getting intimidated, which is great. I generally love Life Orb Entei because I just think it's a very solid Pokemon. So your 2 main Dynamaxes on this team are going to be either Giratina or Entei. And Entei can pick up the slack when you're not feeling confident in Giratina, but you also shouldn't feel too unconfident, because like I had a match of 3 where like I faced a bunch of Calyrex Shadows and I was like, oh, I can't use Giratina, like, and so I maxed Entei all the time, did pretty well, And then like in the next video, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna max Giratina, and then like Light Screen plus Dynamax, it takes like less than 25% from an Astral Barrage. So it's just like, I mean, what are you really worried about, my guy? You know what I'm saying? But you do have the Urshifu to also make sure that you're gonna be okay against something like a, you know, Calyrex Shadow, Calyrex Ice. And, you know, Urshifu just with the Sash does really well because, you know, if it gets in a position to, it can like 1v1 a Zacian, and things can't protect against it. So this team feels like it has some pretty stark contrasts, but it can also be a little underwhelming at times if you don't get in the position you wanted to be in. So that is something to think about. You know, common leads are definitely going to be like Torn Giratina, Grim Giratina, Torn Entei, Giratina Entei. We do have the Torn switch in for ground moves, which is nice. We have Grim and Zacian switch in for dragon moves, which is nice. We have Zacian switch in for fairy moves, Entei switch in for fairy moves. So like generally we have the bases covered for what we're worried about. Giratina can switch in for a water move if you really need it to, because, you know, it really doesn't care that much about like water spell. So, you know, you've got your fair bit of, I don't know, interplay in the team, I guess I would say. The jazz started getting me for a second. It's super jazzy. But, you know, GG's to Temper for making this music. Oh god. But you can also start, yeah, like the Brutal Swing if you want, right? And you can also do things like start Urshifu and pressure them with like a double Sucker Punch. Like, I'm just saying, you know. But I think we've talked about this team enough. Let's go on to the next team. Like I said, there will be team reports, so it's not like I need to like talk about it forever. Next we actually have this Scarf Calyrex Palkia team, which I was not originally thinking about using this month, but it turned out that, you know, this team is really solid, and I was sleeping on it a little. The interesting thing about the team is that you really don't use Landorus that much. You don't really use Melodic all that much, but they can be very clutch when you need them to. And so in general, like, your main team comp that you bring most of the games is actually going to be like Whim's Calyrex lead or like Whim's Palkia lead, with Incin and the other in the back. I mean, and it seems to win most games. I mean, you know, people just don't really expect the Choice Scarf Calyrex. Choice Scarf Calyrex is 1 speed faster than Charizard and Palkia at max speed. In Tailwind, when it's Dynamaxed, it outspeeds Calyrex Shadow by 1, and of course, not Dynamaxed in Tailwind, it outspeeds Regieleki. So, you know, you have a lot going for you with Choice Scarf Calyrex, actually, that people don't really expect. And you also have Max Overgrowth for dealing with things like Gastrodon and Kyogre. So, I mean, you know, in front of a Kyogre, you probably want to Dynamax Palkia more, just because, you know, it really just doesn't take a lot of damage. It can max Quake. Calyrex can max Quake too, but it takes a significant amount from Max Geyser, so there's give and take. The reason why we want Melodic on this team is actually because it's an amazing answer to warding off Landoruses and Incineroars. So Melodic literally crushes both of them, and if one of them gives it a competitive boost, it's an amazing Dynamax. So when this thing gets a competitive boost, I EV'd it to Guaranteed Oko, a non-bulk Zacian. So, it does do that, but I don't know what I was going to say. We're just running a pretty standard Whims here. We don't need like fake tiers or anything like that. Just Tailwind, Taunt, Moonblast, Focus Sash. Assault Vest Instant is definitely pretty standard. Lumberry, Landorus. Even though you could argue for White Herb, I think, to make it a little more versatile. But if you do something like start Melodic Landorus, it basically automatically stops them from being able to get in the position where the Intimidate would have been nice, right? So that's something I haven't even really thought about before until I just said it, and it's definitely nice. But you do have the double Intimidate if you are afraid of, CalyRex in front of Zacian or something, right? So this team is really about just like trying to run away with CalyRex and Palkia while hampering the opponent's ability to do significant damage. And it's nice. It's very nice. So, what do you have for switch outs for each other? I mean, yeah, you can switch in Landorus for a ground move, you can switch in Whims for a dragon move. You've got the double Intimidates, which is great. You've got Recover, you have Icy Wind to support the team, you've got Hypnosis. So, this team has quite a lot going for it, honestly. And you can do things like lead like Landorus Whims or something, but I just don't, based on what I already have, I rarely find Landorus being the best thing to use. But that's just how it is, I guess. Someone brought up that you could maybe replace Landorus for Wheezing, and that would give you the ability to turn off the weather against a Groudon. But technically, if you lead CalyRex Palkia against a Groudon Charizard, CalyRex guaranteed goes faster than Charizard, and then Palkia speed ties Charizard. So I think it would be pretty interesting to see what would happen. Wait, or no, because it's 328. I'm gonna look it up as I keep talking, but Charizard actually might be guaranteed slower. So you do have options like that, and really you just put on so much pressure that it's hard for the opponent to get up above what you're doing. So let's see. Yeah, it is a speed tie. Good. I was right. I know things. And the way that I have Melodic trained, it's a 31% chance to 3-hit KO with Behemoth Blade. So, you do have that going for you. So Scald him, Burning Myth. Next, we have the Eternatus CalyRex team from last month, or the first month, 2 months ago, or the first month, I forget. I made a little bit of adjustments. I went back to Assault Vest Rillaboom, and now I'm going for Wakanberry Blastoise. I don't think that this is perfect. I really liked the Miracle Seed Rillaboom and the Assault Vest Blastoise. I thought it made a lot of sense. But if you think about it, the biggest threat to Blastoise is those electric moves, and then it's decently bulky enough to survive things besides that, at least comfortably, right? And so the reason why I wanted to switch to this was because I feel like I've been neglecting the speed swap side of this team. And if you speed swap, if you just you can start CalyRex Blastoise, CalyRex Rillaboom, CalyRex Entei, and if you just do that speed swap right away, you're gonna really threaten your opponent with a Dynamax something. Imagine a speed swapped Dynamax Rillaboom. Everyone's like, well, Rillaboom's a bad Dynamax right now, but not if it had 222 speed. Fire off freaking max drum solos like it's nothing, man. But a lot of the time you are gonna be leading either Whims Eternatus or Whims Entei. you can do things like CalyRex Entei or like Rillaboom Eternatus if you really need a fake out, right, to like stop them from, I don't know, like tailwinding. Even though you have tailwinds, so I'm kind of like, why? But, you know, you have the fake tiers to support Eternatus, which really allows it to pick up, like, all the KOs that you usually be worried about not picking up. You have, I don't know, the one thing that this team doesn't have is a switch in for ground moves, but it has enough options to deal with ground Pokemon. So we're really not worried about it. Like, you OHKO Landorus with Dynamax Cannon, you do a lot to Groudon, and like, probably wouldn't OHKO it, but like Grassy Glide plus Dynamax Cannon definitely would, or, you know, whatever you want to lead, I guess. I mean, it depends on the situation, right? Like, I think CalyRex Eternatus is really good lead against, like, a Charizard Groudon with, like, Whims Entei in the back or something. You know what I mean? That actually does sound really good. So, you've got things to think about, but this Entei does afford itself being a little slower because it does have the speed swap. I fixed it so that if you don't go for speed swap and you go for Tailwind, you will still be faster than a +1 Zapdos. So Zapdos and Charizard need to airstream twice in order to be faster than this Entei and Tailwind, and I thought that was really important. So it's just little adjustments like that that I tried to make. But I think, you know, having Max Darkness on Blastoise was good enough that even though I did end up taking the Assault Vest off of it, I still wanted to run Dark Pulse over Yawn. Like, Yawn provides a lot of versatility in a way that makes it interesting, and like, kind of like you are losing something by not having Yawn, because like Yawn allows you to set up more defensive games, and like rotating door scenarios, revolving door, whatever you want to call it. But it's a fun team, man. I love this team. Like, I have no complaints about it. It's really fun. You do have to be careful about the fact that I'm now running 4 Pokemon without Protect, and I have Sludge Wave. But if you play well enough and you like switch Eternatus out if need be, you know, this team can do very, very well and just kind of coast by, and it's just no worries. Like, okay. We don't really bring Blastoise that much, but now that I've made some of these adjustments, I think it is worth thinking about doing more. Last team for this month is going to be that Kyogre Zygarde team from the first month of Series 12. This team, absolutely amazing. It really, really catches people off guard and pressures them into, like, it's like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, do I target the Kyogre? Do I target the Zygarde? Like, we have such great damage output from these two Pokemon, and they generally survive really well. So your main lead's definitely gonna be Comfy Zygarde. It's just super solid, but if you want, you can do something like lead Eject Button plus Kyogre. I know I've been forgetting to say the items on the Pokemon so far, but it is very important to note that this Whims has Eject Button, because you really do benefit from the Eject Button if you're in a bad position. Just, you know, Switcheroo, Water Spout. But, you know, versus some other things, you might find Switcheroo Sucker Punch is better. And it's my best bet against Venusaur, is what I've learned. But I do think that Comfy Zygarde is just such a great lead, because, I mean, if you need to, you can protect Trick Room, but you almost never need to. You just Draining Kiss, and you just Max Quake or something. Then you can Floral Healing or Ally Switch or whatever you need. Like, Zygarde is an absolute monster, and paired with the Comfey, it's like, it's obvious, but it's still really hard for them to actually get away with it. Like stopping it, that is, I mean. And I mean, if someone leads like Zacian CalyIce, that's a little hard for the Comfey Zygarde team to deal with, or I mean lead, but you know, in that case you can probably start Whim's Zygarde and, you know, get the Max Quake up, try to OHKO Zacian. If they protect, not really that worried about it. So you got your options, right? And then you also have Kartana being very well supported by like Kyogre, you know what I mean? So you can Dynamax Kartana, you can Dynamax Kyogre, but Dynamaxing Zygarde is a lot of fun, and I like doing it. You have, you know, Comfey to ally switch into dragon moves. You also have Whims for dragon moves. Kyogre can switch in on fire moves if it really needs to. Zygarde can switch in on electric moves. So the synergy between Kyogre and Zygarde is actually really great. And that's one of the things that also makes this team really threatening. So I think I explained it well enough, hopefully. Like I said, you will have the team reports in the description, so check those out. My favorite thing about what we did for this month is that we used 10 different legendaries. So Groudon, Yveltal, Giratina, Zacian, CalyIce Palkia, CalyIce Shadow Eternatus, and Kyogre Zygarde. Let me know what your favorite team is for the month. Let me see if I can try to rank them really quick. I usually try to do that. That's gonna be really hard for me to do this month. For best of one, I might say the Kyogre Zygarde team. For best of three, gonna be maybe this one or this one. I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I'm not gonna try to rank them just because I don't want to waste too much time. I want to keep this video pretty short, but thank you to those of you who do tune into these videos. Consider subscribing if you are not subscribed, and you know, look out for what we're gonna do, and definitely let me know if you like the teams. So, you know, thank you. Definitely try them out, and have a good one, y'all.